Sometimes it feels like we've been in this pandemic so long, it's hard to remember what life was like beforehand. Things like going to a full concert at the Moda Center or even shaking hands with a stranger. Now part of our long-term memory. Fox 12's Drew Reeves spoke to a psychiatrist today to see the kinds of impacts this pandemic has had on our brains and on our memory.
Bars and restaurants start to reopen. If you haven't ventured out in a while, it might be hard to remember what being in one of those settings is actually like. Usually, events like this are part of our short-term memory, but with the pandemic lockdown, the first one being a year ago, that's no longer the case. Thousands of people have now spent the last year working from home, only eating takeout and having few, if any, conversations without a mask. And after a year of the pandemic, one psychiatrist I spoke to says the isolation has had a big impact on our minds. Dr. Sarah Walker with OHSU says that in the last year, we have all experienced a lot of stress and continue to experience stress. She says that all of that puts our brains into survival mode and allows us to focus more on the things necessary to survive, but often blocks out other things. It may be why you notice yourself forgetting what you needed at the grocery store or not being able to remember an important tradition you had pre-pandemic. She says experiencing so much stress has depleted a lot of people's ability to cope with it as effectively as we normally would. She said while there's no hard and fast rule about what you can do to battle this stress and anxiety, taking care of your body physically is always helpful.
Having that nutrition and sleep, physical activity is helpful for some of the systems and structures of the brain that are responsible for some of these things like attention.
She says it's important to look for the small things that can bring us happiness and focus on those. It's also important to remember that there is an end in sight. As things reopen and more people get vaccinated, there is hope that things could soon return to some sense of normalcy. But it is also important to make room for other emotions as we do get back out into a normal sense of life. Dr. Walker says things will be different and there will be a lot of emotions that people experience because of that. But eventually that karaoke mic or rocking out at a concert won't be such a distant memory. Reporting in Tiger, Drew Reeves, Fox 12 Oregon.